This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
You are listening to Copy Chief Radio. I have with me the Copy Chief himself, Mr. Kevin Rogers. What is up, my man?
Jonathan, good to be back, brother. Excited about this one.
Dude, look, I have to admit that in the last episode, I got asking too many questions. If I ask too many questions, just tell me, hey, brother, just pay me, all right? F you, pay me.
This whole thing is a ruse for you to get free advice. I knew it.
Yeah. Well, dude, that's why I started the podcast.
That's true.
Free advice from the smartest people I know, but that tagline didn't stick. So what do you have for us today, man?
This is going to be cool. Well, it's part 2. I like that we came right out of the gate with a mini series. Right? You can't beat those open loops to get people coming back. And so, we're in the middle of a 3-part series that I call 3 things that must happen before you can sell a thing. In the first episode, we talked all about clarity and just figuring out, look, obviously for people to buy something from you, there needs to be an offer. And what is that offer in the big picture of your business? Is it your very first offer? Is it your 10th offer? How is it unique to other stuff you've offered and unique in the marketplace? And so that's all important stuff, how you need to vet those offer ideas and just see if there's traction. Like, does anybody even care about this stuff, right? Send it out and get a big old yawn back.
No replies.
No replies. And also, how not having clarity can make you look like a goof. And, to your list, to your spouse, to your friend. Yeah, to your friends at the bar. Oh God, here comes Mr. Idea Guy again.
Run.
Yeah, avoid being that person. So this is part 2. We're going to talk about identity, right? Because once you figured out, all right, I've got an offer. This is obviously got some traction. People are responding. They're asking to hear more. And maybe you've asked directly if this is something people want from you, and they've said yes. Now it's all about, all right, who am I to these people, and why should they buy from me? This is something that even people who have managed to grow a list aren't fulfilling very well. And other people have only an identity, but have never figured out how to create offers. So all this stuff goes hand in hand. Look, there's sort of 3 things that are required for your audience to have a relationship with you. And I call them teach, reach, and preach, right? And if you think about, like, what's a preacher? That's sort of like the top level. I'd say our man Ben Settle is someone I would call a preacher.
Reverend Settle.
Yeah, Reverend Settle. Because, one of the things Ben does so well is he's great at telling you what he's against, right? And not necessarily like a negative way, like he's always ranting and bitching about stuff. But a preacher is somebody that you can hear in your mind when you come across a topic. So if somebody's talking about a certain way to email or use email, or even write a headline, I could think, what would Ben Settle say about this, and pretty much know what he would say. And that's huge. That means that he's a preacher. And so part of identifying who you are to your audience is, talking about some of the stuff that's not you, that doesn't work for you, that you think is total BS, that people are, selling as the real deal, and that kind of stuff. So that's one important takeaway when we talk about identity. And a more simplified version of that is just having a really clear way to explain who you are and what you do, right? let's say, Jonathan, you're entering a market, for the first time, and you go, okay, well, like the second thing people want to know about you is like, who are you? Like the first thing is like, what is this, and do I even care? Right?
Yeah.
So that's having clarity on the offer, and then the second thing is, all right, who are you, and why should I buy this from you? And so in Copy Chief, for instance, we have this is one of our specialties. This is kind of the thing that, let's say, put me on the map as a, not just a copywriter, but a teacher, is that I'm really good at, helping people use really simple formulas to get their message across.
Yeah.
I call them little Mad Libs. You ever play those?
Yeah.
Remember those? Yeah. And I remember doing those in the back seat, on like a long trip, and we just sit there peeing our pants in the back seat, putting swear words in the Mad Lib and stuff. And so you basically use Mad Libs for your copy, fill in the blanks, simple stuff. And so I've got the 60-second sales hook, which a lot of people who know me have downloaded that book. You can get it, for free at copychief.com. And it's where I took an old joke formula and turned it into what I call a sales hook formula. And it's super powerful because of one particular, well, there's 4 parts to it. And one of the parts is struggle, where you share a struggle you had. And that should really be something that is prominent in every communication you have. People need to understand that you had a struggle that they also have, and that you learned to overcome it. Yeah. And, people may be hearing this and going, no kidding. Like that's totally copywriting 101.
Thanks, Copy Chief.
Right. Wow. Wow. This is deep, man. But I would challenge those same people who might have just had that thought to, right now, if they were standing in front of me, answer the question, who are you and why should I buy from you? And have it come out like clean with no stuttering, no like thinking,
Yikes.
So this is one of those, look, I think, you want your copy to be authentic and conversational, but when it comes to your identity, this is one of those things that you really want to have practiced and polished.
I like the struggle that you talked about. I don't know if it was Ben or if Ben got it from somebody else, but he always has this thing where he says, don't tell me about your weed killer, tell me about my crabgrass. People want to hear about their problems, even if it's the same problem that you have, so they know that you can relate to them. Yeah,
it's a perfect example, right? And so what's interesting, too, is that another thing you always hear in copy is, don't talk about you. Always talk about them. And, there's things where you can check the I to you ratio of your copy. And that is effective. If an entire sales letter is I, it seems like you're talking about yourself the whole time, people are going to get annoyed and go away. But in talking about your identity, the trick is to talk about yourself in such a way that you're really talking about them. And they can see themselves in you and at least relate to your struggle and really want to understand how they can overcome it like you did.
Yeah, that's a great point.
When it comes to the 60-second sales hook, Jonathan, I think you talked about how effective it was for you because you were not sharing a part of your story that ended up being the thing that resonated most with your audience.
Dude, that was the thing that you pulled that out. That was like the struggle piece, my motivation piece. It was buried at the end of a 10-minute video sales letter. And we put that up front, man. And people were just like, oh, you used to live in New York? Like they're coming to me and they're like repeating parts of the story because it hooks them right up front. They've had that struggle. They don't like their landlord. They've been treated badly. And dude, I don't know why that was buried so deeply in there, but I'm glad you helped me find it.
Yeah, I think it's just, our instinct is to, well, maybe you thought like you read that somewhere. I don't talk about yourself, so I'll just bury this down there. Feels like it should be there, but I'm not going to lead with it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But that was your whole reason why. That's what struck me about it was, I suddenly get why you own these properties and why it's important to you to get the right people in those units.
You want to know something, Kevin?
Yeah.
How good that was? That my dad doesn't look at any of my work at all. Okay. And yet I was with him like 2 weekends ago, and my mom passed away a long time. So he remarried, and both him and his wife, who would be my stepmom. Okay. But she's pretty young, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah. I've had that too.
But my dad actually watched that video, and he's like, I didn't know you remembered that. Wow. And so that was really deep. And I've never gotten a chance to tell you that, but it was really deep. And you're right. Sometimes you do have to pull your struggle, and other people will see that, will feel that, and will relate to it.
Yeah. And the other thing, just to stay on this for a second, is that it was tied to your reason why, right? And this is like, you want to get heady with this for a second. Those same people that were rolling their eyes, reason why is a much headier topic, because this can be the real struggle for people. Like, for instance, there's kind of two levels of reason why. One is why is this such a special price, right? And so like I heard a great ad today. This cat just sent me these CDs of him reading classic sales letters.
Okay.
I love getting random gifts in the mail. And I love it, man, because it's literally just this guy reading these classic sales letters. And it's, for me, I just popped it into my car as I'm driving around, and I'm hearing these brilliant sales letters, and I'm remembering why they're so effective, right?
Yeah.
And so one of them he read was about a special book offer. Some of the listeners may remember like the Columbia, tape club or music club. Remember those? Like everybody fell for that. For a penny, you could have like 10
9 CDs.
Yeah. You're like, how can I not do this? Is this even real? And why? So they would always have to explain why. And this sales letter did a great job. It was this library of books, and it was a special offer, and they had the best reason why I'd ever heard. And they basically said, this is a marketing tactic. We know from experience that when we put these books, this collection of books, into people's homes, our sales skyrocket because people see this collection, they fall in love with it, and they go, I got to have me one of those. And then they go and they order more, And so they basically said, we know if we get this in your home, we're going to sell 5 more for giving you one at the price of shipping. So that's why we're doing it. And I was like, that's perfect. A perfectly sensible negotiation, right?
Nobody's transparent.
And totally transparent. I love that. And so that's reason why, as it pertains to pricing, reason why on a sort of meta scale is, why are you motivated to be in the business you're in and do it at a higher level than your competitors? And for you, that's what really struck me about sharing that personal story of how conditions were when you lived in New York. And I can't quote it, maybe you can, where you said, I said to myself then, if I'm ever in a position to rent out properties, I'm going to make sure that the first thing that matters is the quality of people I rent to.
Yeah, you've got that from memory. It's pretty close, but yeah, that was exactly it. We got treated badly. My dad lost a business. I didn't put that in there, but we also didn't have heat in our apartment and stuff. And I was just like, I can hate these guys. I used to hate them. You know how badly I hated them? Was that they wanted to win me over. Like sometimes they would bring me toys or take me out and stuff because they felt so bad about how much I hated them.
That's hilarious.
It is funny, but I didn't tap into that. And then when you helped me figure that out, and that is really the reason, and I forgot about that, but that was the reason why I wanted to become a landlord, to be better than those guys. And if you were to speak to my tenants now, or I don't even call them tenants, actually. I call them residents. I've made a big change since all of that. So they're all residents now. These people really genuinely like me, and I don't hardly ever talk to them. It's just because I treat them fairly. I am good to them, and I make sure that they have everything they need so that they're never really looking anywhere else.
Right. Yeah, because now what you're doing is you're saying, look, I'm building a community, right? Yeah. This isn't like I have a number on every unit and that's how much money I can make. It's like, you know what? The money will be there if the right people are in the units. Yeah. Maintenance costs will go down because people care about how stuff looks. They're, say like there's a washer dryer and one of the things is on the fritz. And instead of people just kicking it a bunch of times to try to make it work, they're going to go, oh, let's call Jonathan. He cares a lot. He'll want to know that this isn't working right?
Yeah, and we get it fixed, right? Yeah. And you know that I used all of that reason why, and I turned it into a bunch of other marketing hooks on why I don't raise the rent and why people stay. And I turned all that into my advertisements as well. I split pieces off and turned it into my ads. And I actually even started doing resident appreciation parties.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
I mean, I've gone crazy with it.
Dude, but I mean, can you imagine like how many people show up at one of those?
Dude, we had like 35 people out of like 40.
Okay, wow. So 35 people. And that's all 35 people were asked, hey, what are you doing Saturday? And they said, oh, we're going to a resident appreciation party. Yeah. And they went, what?
What's that mean? What? Who? In fact, we actually got people asking us if we had any open spots, and we're 100% full. I'm just like, sorry, put you on the waiting list, but can't guarantee you anything.
Dude, that's a great. So that is identity, like reason why. And again, we talked in the first episode about sort of having a filter for your offers to make sure, a little vetting system so that, you make sure that people actually want what you want to give them or provide them. And, this is the same thing with identity. It's like, how much of your story are you not sharing that would really make all the difference in the world? Look what it's done. Totally transformed your business as a landlord from just another guy to rent a unit from to, someone that they show up and be with whenever you invite them.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Thank you, Kevin. Like I'm thinking about this all stems from you pulling that hook out and me realizing my real mission. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, again, nobody writes alone. And that's why we have these communities, but it's you, dude. I mean, you could I've taught this kind of stuff to a lot of people who didn't do anything with it.
Surprise.
So all the credit goes to you, man. And it's, I get really excited when people take action and see results like that. So,
oh, man, good stuff.
So that we kind of wrap this one up. I want to keep them tight, but I think that's the big thing with identity. Find a formula that'll, create some parameters for you to tell your story within. Otherwise, you're going to drive yourself crazy trying to figure out which story to tell or how long it should be. Go get the 60-second sales hook. You can download it for free at copychief.com and, think about your reason why, and that'll help you be really authentic and transparent in your marketing.
Yeah, man. So what's coming up on the next one, Kevin? Okay,
so part 3 of our mini series here. Now we're going to talk about reach, right? Like now that you've got yourself defined, and then you've got an offer that people want, how do you get it in front of them? That's what we're going to talk about on part 3 of our special Copy Chief Radio mini series.
Love it, man. Looking forward to it. So thank you for the chat today, Kevin. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening to me gush all over Kevin like a fanboy. We will catch you on the next one.
See you there.
You've been listening to Copy Chief Radio. Thank you for tuning in. If you're digging what we are laying down for you, then your next step is to go over to iTunes, type in Copy Chief Radio into the search bar, and when you find the show, subscribe. We will be back in your earbuds next week.
This is the podcastfactory.com.